Hi! In this video, I'll show you how to take an equation of a line that's written in slope-point form and rewrite it in slope-intercept form. Okay, so here we've got 4 examples. These are all equations written in slope-point form, and the question's asking us to write them in slope-intercept form. So the big idea here, or the big steps here, is we're going to simplify the right-hand side, and then we're going to isolate y. So here I've got y plus 2 equals 1/3 x subtract 1/3. And then I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So y plus 2 minus 2 equals 1/3 x minus 1/3 minus 2. So that's just to isolate y on the left-hand side. So that gives us y equals 1/3 x. And then we have to say, well, what's negative 1/3 minus 2? So it might be worth it for this example. I'm going to write this negative 2. I think, well, how many thirds is that? And 1 is 3/3, so 2 will be 6/3. So it's negative 6/3. So now I've got negative 1/3, subtract 6 more thirds. So we're subtracting 7/3. Okay, so this equation is equivalent to this one here. In both of them we have a slope of 1/3. In this one what we know is that there's a point 1, negative 2 on the line. And here we know that the y-intercept is negative 7/3. Okay, and the next one over here, we've got y plus 4 equals, I'm going to just simplify the right-hand side, negative 2x plus 2. And now I'll subtract 4 from both sides. So I've got y equals negative 2x, then plus 2 minus 4 minus 2. Okay, down here, we'll simplify the right-hand side, so we'll have negative 1/2 x, and then negative 1/2 times 5 is negative 5/2. And now I'm going to isolate y by adding 6 on both sides. I don't really have enough space there, so I'll write it on the next line. Plus 6 on both sides. So now we've got y equals negative 1/2 x. And then we have to say, well, what is 5/2 plus 6? In this case, it would be perfectly acceptable to change this to a decimal, because 5/2 is 2.5, 2.5, so that's totally fine. We couldn't do that up here because 1/3 doesn't have a nice terminating decimal value. But let's stick with the fractions. So this is 12 halves. 6 is the same as 12 halves. So I guess I'll write that down. Plus 12/2. So now I have negative 5 halves plus 12 halves, so that's plus 7/2. Alright, and then one last one. Something interesting is going to happen here. So I'm going to write this in slope-intercept form. So first of all, I'll simplify the right-hand side. I have negative 2x subtract 8. And now I'll isolate y by adding 6 to both sides. I think I could squeeze that in there. So we've got y equals negative 2x, and then negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2. So negative 2x subtract 2. If we look at this one here, this turns out to be exactly the same line as this one here. So I threw those in there just to sort of highlight that there's only one correct version of an equation in slope-intercept form, because the line only has one slope and one y-intercept. I suppose we could maybe write it as a decimal in one number and as a fraction, and then in one version a decimal and the other version a fraction. But there's really only one correct answer. But the equation, this line here, y equals negative 2x minus 2, it has infinitely many different equations in slope-point form. So here's one of them. This one doesn't really look the same. except that we can tell that the slope is the same. But this is the same line. But it was hard to see that until we got it simplified to slope-intercept form. Okay, so the key ideas, if you want to get this into slope-intercept form, you just simplify the right-hand side by multiplying it out, and then isolate y by either adding or subtracting whatever that number was. Okay, good luck.